Hello folks, and welcome to the General Notice, where we fire off into the week by talking about what's going on this channel and what's going on in the world of motorsport. I have a few bits I want to cover, so let's get on with it. Firstly, we are now in August, which means that next Tuesday is the anniversary of me doing daily video uploads to this channel. 12 years. Give it a couple more years and I will have actually been doing this most of my life, which is weird. But anyways, on the channel this week, IMSA Road America. I'm going to sit down and watch that, and that'll be out tomorrow. Then, hopefully catching up with TCRs and supercars, BTCC and Knock Hill, and a preview for the Bahrain Rally. If I get time, look at Super GT and Super Formula, but I'm not going to force the situation on those ones, let's say. Might do some stuff over on other channels, though I'm having a feeling that I want to try and hit the ground running with that next week, so it's more likely this week will just be building up a backlog. So, without further ado, let's get into talking about the real world of motorsport. And let's start off with the big one. WRC has a new promoter, or the promoter has been sold. It's two organisations have bought into it, one called Cosmopolis and another one Park Square Capital. So Venture Capital has bought into F1, F1 into the WRC, a bit like how F1 had with Liberty Media, 10 years ago now. Mohamed Ben Sulayem has described it as truly the deal of the century for rallying. I almost said described himself, but that's how it might feel if you are somebody who's a bit cynical of the FIA president. Supposedly, it was a mixture of himself and his deputy president for sport, Malcolm Wilson, as in head of M Sport, Malcolm Wilson, who brought this about. For those who want to know more about it in particular, the people who are taking over, they are going to put in charge of the promoter, Eric Boulier, who previously ran Renault's F1 team and also for a while ran McLaren. It was in that weird window between Ron Dennis and Zach Brown. So, interesting. I know people are really, really critical of Boulier's involvement, and I get why people are sceptical. Renault had its downturn whilst Boulier was there. McLaren, I would argue, were already in their downturn. I would also argue that the Renault downturn was more instigated by Flav being Flav and, Crashgate. So, Boulier, I'm going to actually, downplay the criticisms people have of Boulier's previous exploits in motorsport, in that he has often gone in a time of crisis and he's started to steer things in the right direction. It's similar to Jos Capito, who was the chair of Volkswagen and WRC, left there during 2016 after Boulier was gone from McLaren, brought in to McLaren, left McLaren, and is actually credited by a lot of the senior people in McLaren today as having helped turn it around. Similar-ish to the kind of role that he's credited with at Williams around the time of the Doralton Capital takeover from the Williams family. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It is going to be a tricky time. This is a challenging time. The FIA has brought in a new rule set that only one manufacturer has actually signed up to. The FIA had to write on the back of a cigarette packet an addendum to upgrade the Rally 2 cars so that the team of the deputy president of the FIA was going to be able to compete. And yeah, you can tell that by the fact that M Sport immediately committed to a Rally 2 kit. The WRC is in one of the kind of more tumultuous kind of crisis points that we've seen for the WRC. I would say since about, let's go about 2010, 2011. When it was just Ford and Citroen. And we were doing the switch to 1.6. And it sort of worked, but then the regional rally car concept, the idea that you just bolt on a couple of extra bits, you got the full Fat World rally car, that failed. Largely because Super 2000 already existed, but it became the R5s, which became Rally 2, which are their own successful formula. It is worth saying this also includes the European Rally Championship. It'd be nice if part of this deal would also include things like the APRC and, reviving that. the ARC, the African Championship, and Codasur, the Latin American one. It'd be nice to have all of those continental series being represented at the same kind of level that the ERC is. I would personally be quite invested in that. But at the time where Rally 2 is fine. It's starting to become a bit of an arms race, but it is a little bit limited anyways. This new generation, this WRC 27, is a real crunch time. We heard about all these manufacturers that were going to commit that haven't. We heard about all these tuners that were going to commit, and yeah, we've got 1.5. We've got a customer team who are going to say they want to buy Toyotas, but whether or not they'll be able to do that for the start of the season, we'd have to wait and see. It is most certainly a tricky time. I mean, look at Rallycross. We've still got to wait on the new regulations for that new generation of what supercars are going to look like in Rallycross in, 2 or 3 years' time. I don't know where it's going to go. But as I said in my review for Rally Finland, there are so many amazing young talents. It's not for a want of trying to find new talent that we are having issues in rallying. Because already in Rally 2s, we've got Tuukka Kolpanen, who's now in his second year of Rally 2 machinery. We've got Jasper Vaar. If you look towards the Rally 3s, you've got Kalle Karlberg, you've got Gilman Brado, and the people who've recently graduated up to Rally 2 machinery includes the likes of Mille Johansson or Romy Jurgensen. I mean, heck, Sami Pyrie and Oliver Solberg. And though it sounds weird to say, given that his WRC career started 10 years ago, Kalle Rovanperä. There is such a wealth of young or still relatively young talent in the world of rallying. I want to see them make good on that. One thing that is someone making good on rallying talent is Hyundai. I said in my Rally Finland review that it would be nice to see Paddon return for a gravel rally, and he'd been told he basically had sort of earned that kind of thing. It's been confirmed that he's doing Paraguay. I'm really looking forward to that. Now, whether or not that means the remainder of the season, we'll see Lappi and Sordo once more. I really hope we do. But we'll have to wait and see on it. It would be great to see all three of them doing some rounds towards the end of the season. I don't know if it makes sense for Paddon to do the whole double header. Lappi has experience in Paraguay and yet hadn't got the nod, right? I think Lappi has some kind of understanding. He definitely has experience in Chile, and I think I'm right in saying that out of the three, he would be the one with the most relevant experience in Chile. But, yeah. Paddon doing Paraguay, I'm looking forward to this. He'll be fantastic, I'm sure. What would be nice is if we had Paddon do Paraguay, Lappi do Chile, Sordo do Sardinia. Because we don't know if Saudi's going to happen yet. They've been quiet about that. Quieter than F1's been about its calendar, which we'll get to in a moment. But, yeah. Watch this space, I guess. Because the last thing that I want to talk about, I just said. F1 has a calendar conundrum. Now, it's not that it needs more races for the calendar. They need a minimum of 16. So that kind of thing that we talked about 6 years ago. They have to have 16 races. There has to be at least one outside of Europe. That's it. So if all of the Middle East races dropped off the calendar, not the end of the world. But people want to fill those slots, and F1 wants to try to fill those slots. It wants to try to get towards 24 races. The question is more, how does that happen? And many venues are stepping forward. Last week, I talked about Sepang hosting the Bahrain Grand Prix. As Stefano Domenicali has said, if the Middle East is unworkable for the end of the season, we'll see an ending in Europe. He said to Sky Italia a joke about speaking Italian, which to lots of people means Imola's back. It hasn't been confirmed yet, And honestly, a lot of the venues that I like the sound of don't seem to be the most feasible ones for, late November, early December, even if people are like, but Vegas is a cold race. I know it is. It's a night race. Hockenheim, it is being reported, have approached F1, which would be fantastic. I would love to see Hockenheim back. The Nürburgring has been one that's been touted. We saw how tricky the weather was for the Eiffel Grand Prix back in 2020. I don't think it's the sanest solution. If we are having the Nürburgring, it has to be earlier in the year, somewhere like the April to August window, I would say. Once you could say that there is next to 0% chance of snow. Yeah, Hockenheim's being rumoured. In addition to that, anybody else who wants to do a kind of candidate event will be absolutely chomping at the bit to go, here we go. This is when we can push, the street racing Kigali that people are looking for. Or the Chang circuit in Thailand. There's also been rumours of second races for China or Japan, though where the Chinese one would be, I don't know. The main thing you need to follow are what are Grade 1 venues. And honestly, I know from what I've been reading, Portimao probably is a no-go for this year. They're doing some upgrade work, make sure they can get their recertification for Grade 1 for 2027. But there are so many tracks that we could use that have the appropriate approvals. And to me, the thing that seems most logical is going for somewhere where you get some of the wonderful air that hits the Mediterranean. So, in the Grade 1 for that, I mean, Estoril would need reapproving, but that could just be a tick box exercise. That would be wonderful. See Estoril back on the calendar for the first time in 30 years. Jerez, again, 30 years. And actually, Jerez's last appearance, 97, was because Estoril dropped out. Motorland Aragon, I think, has a Grade 1 license. That would be wonderful. A brand new venue. Not many people would have done it because it's mostly known for bike racing, unless you're on iRacing like I am. Or heck, I think, am I right in thinking that Ricardo Tormo is Grade 1? I don't think Jarama is anymore. I think that's Grade 2. But I think Tormo, Valencia, is Grade 1. That'll be fun. Got lots of grandstands. And I think that would actually work really well with this generation of F1 car as well. And there is one other suggestion. It might not be the best fit for this current generation of F1 cars, but hey, Sepang's coming back. We could go to this good old high-tech test track. Got an airport right next to it. I know it's a little bit remote, but it's got a bit of that Mediterranean breeze, and it can work year-round. It does endurance races. And, oh yeah, called Paul Ricard. Bring back the French Grand Prix. Just putting ideas out there. Thanks so much for joining, folks. Thanks for your continued support, as always, on this channel. And, yeah, until next time, bye for now.